Pokémon Legends Z-A is Game Freak's return to the Legends formula, but this time they traded the wilderness for the heart of Lumiose City. It's darker, it's moodier, and it actually tells a story that feels bigger than just catching Pokémon. So after spending time exploring Kalos, here's my honest review. This game's story takes place 5 years after Pokémon X and Y, and the whole plot is Lumiose City is in a urban redevelopment plan to make Pokemon and humans coexist with each other. Once you first arrive in Lumiose City, you'll be greeted by this lady named Tawny. She has 3 starter Pokemon, Tepig, Chikorita, and Totodile. She'll talk to you, and there'll be like an announcement on a billboard, and your bag will get stolen by a Pancham. You have to go chase after it. You meet up with some trainers, and that Pancham belongs to them. Then that's where you get your starter Pokemon, and you have your first battle in this game. This game features a real-time battle system, so you are moving your player character and your Pokemon in real time. It's not like a turn-based RPG. When you get into a battle, your Pokemon will follow wherever you go, and with the A, B, X, and Y button, that's how you'll attack. There's no PP for attacks on here, so they'll never run out, but there is a timer. So, say you use Bubble Beam, it'll take like 4 seconds before you can use it again. But if you have like Tackle or any other attacks on those other face buttons, you can click those in the meantime. So it's very fast-paced battles, and you can, like, as I mentioned, move your trainer around the arena to help your Pokemon dodge attacks. When you're out in the wild, catching Pokemon, it's just like Legends Arceus, where you throw a ball, you can sneak up on enemies and catch them that way to have a better chance at catching them in one try. Very fast, very fluent. I love this style of gameplay, and I'm so glad it's back in this game. You have a run button by pressing B, but you don't have to hold it. You just click it once and your character automatically runs. Very similar to like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, how you can just click the 1 button and your character auto runs. That's pretty cool. There's also a dodge button to dodge wild Pokemon attacks. If you're catching wild Pokemon and you don't even have a Pokemon out, that Pokemon in the wild will target you, and if you take too much damage, you'll black out, and you'll respawn at a Pokemon Center, so do your best not to black out, I suppose. This game doesn't have a giant overworld similar to Legends Arceus, where you're out in these wilderness wild areas like mountaintops and lakes. This game is one big Lumiose City. You know, you're just in this giant circle city. It may feel smaller, but once you go run around the city, it's way bigger than it looks on the map. You can also fast travel to Pokemon centers that you've recently visited, and even other locations like cafes or shops. So if you want to get around the city super quickly, you can also do that. The unique thing about this game is it has wild zones, so with this urban redevelopment plan to make Pokemon coexist with humans in the same city, as you go through the city, you'll be on a normal road or street, and then there'll be a green boxed-in area, and that's a wild zone. You enter it, and there'll be wild Pokemon just there to catch. These wild zones have numbers. Number 1 will have like very weak, low-level Pokemon, and if you go to like a higher one, like a level 9 wild zone, the Pokemon will be way tougher. There's also Alpha Pokemon returning from Legends Arceus, which they're like giant variants of normal Pokemon. So say you have like a Pidgey, and then, for example, you had an Alpha Pidgey. The Alpha Pidgey would be like 10 times bigger than the normal one. These Pokemon are very aggressive, and they'll try to attack you, so be ready. The overarching goal of this game is the Z-A Royale Tournament. Once night falls in the city, you'll get a little notification that night is coming. These red battle zones will open up across the map. In the battle zones, there's tons of different trainers to fight. You can sneak up on them and use stealth to defeat their Pokemon before the battle truly even starts, which is pretty cool. If they spot you, though, then you'll be immobilized and they'll get the strike first. So be careful when you're sneaking around them. The whole point of these battle zones is you want to defeat enough trainers to earn a ticket. After defeating enough trainers, you'll get a certain amount of XP, and once you cross that threshold, you'll get yourself a ticket. there'll be a separate location on the map that you take that ticket to fight the next person to rise up in the ranks. So say you're rank Z. Once you get that ticket, you'll take it to a certain place and fight someone, and then you'll move up to rank Y. And so as you play throughout the game, you'll keep rising up in the ranks. I will say, a little bit after that, you'll go from like rank V, I believe, and then you'll just jump all the way to rank F. So it's not like, oh, I gotta do the whole alphabet. No, it skips through a bunch of letters, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, this is gonna take 100 years. It doesn't. In these battle zones, there's also little challenge cards you can pick up, and it'll be like, defeat a Pokemon in one hit, use 2 different fire type attacks, stuff like that, use grass attacks. You'll get like little bonuses and rewards for that too. So once the night is over, or even once you defeat the rival to get to the next rank, you'll get like a bunch of cash, like tons of money for like the multipliers of all the stuff you did while in the battle zone. So like I said, you don't have to defeat every trainer, but the more you defeat, the more bonuses you'll get. And it's also good to get some XP in for your Pokemon. Besides the Battle Royale tournament and the main story stuff, there's also side content, like side quests, that you can also do. These are very similar to the Like a Dragon series or the Yakuza games type of side quests. They're very goofy and funny. One side quest, you'll be like doing parkour challenges on a bunch of different ladders and scaffolding. And then another side quest, you'll be like having Trubbishes follow you to a trash can while you hold trash. So they're very quick and fun. Nothing like, oh, I don't feel like doing this, you know. And the rewards are pretty good too. I mean, you'll even get like a free starter Pokemon on one of them, like a free Froakie. So that's pretty cool. Everything from the main story, the Z-A Royale tournament, and even the side quests, they're all perfectly marked on the map. Nothing is very confusing at all. The map is very well laid out, so you'll never be like lost, like, oh, where am I going? There's also this character named Mabel, I believe, and that's also like a little side quest type stuff you can work towards, and you'll get TMs, you know, tons of them, just from doing side quests and earning XP through that. An interesting thing about this game is the way you customize your Pokemon's moves. You can just switch moves in and out, you know, and TMs are infinite use, just like in Pokemon Black and White. This game has a lot of verticality. You know, it's not just like Legends Arceus where you're in these different mountaintops, lakes, forests, you know. You might only be in a city and everything might look very, you know, like the same-ish, you know. But there's lots of verticality, and you can climb up buildings, climb on rooftops, and many different bridges and paths while on those rooftops to explore. There's lots of different items you can collect. It may not be like as interesting, I suppose, as Legends Arceus, but it's still lots of fun, and there's so much to explore in this game, you know? Even if it's like a more confined space to a circular city map, there's still so much to explore. There's also rogue Mega Evolution Pokemon that you can track down. Basically, they're like crazy Pokemon that have been overtaken by Mega Evolution. Once you defeat them, you can catch them, and then you get a free Mega Evolution Pokemon. So that's pretty cool. The music on here is great, just running around the city. The soundtrack's very catchy. It kind of reminds me of New Donk City from Mario Odyssey. It has like that kind of soundish vibe to it. The soundtrack's great, even like battling and right before you do a rank up battle after like the battle zones at night. That soundtrack is pretty dang cool. Overall, the music's great and catchy. It may not be like as catchy as like one of the mainline games, I suppose. In terms of graphics, everything looks clean. You know, like the character models, they look good, 4K. I will say some of the textures, they're not like the most impressive, but when have they ever in a Pokemon game in recent times? I also will say the city feels kind of flat. You're mostly on like flat roads and all that, but also like the buildings, the doors on buildings, the windows, they look like a poster. You know, like they just look like a poster someone stuck on it, not an actual door or window. They don't have any depth to them. I will say the character animations on here, they're very fluent, and probably some of the best I've seen in the series up to this point, you know? But I will say, they need to implement voice acting in these games, you know? It just looks so strange with these characters being so fluent with their animations, yet you just see, like, no words come out when their mouth's moving, so definitely, we need voice acting in future Pokemon games. I don't know why they still haven't. In terms of performance, I haven't had any issues. The game runs at a good frame rate. Overall, this game is so much fun. You know, I played it for like 5 hours straight yesterday. Like, no joke, it was so much fun. So addicting. If you loved Legends Arceus, you're gonna love this. I'd say it's even better in its own ways. The real-time combat is so much fun, you know? Sometimes when I play an RPG, I kind of just like almost fall asleep because you're just clicking like a button repeatedly, you know, just to perform actions. But you're like always engaged with this, you know, because you're always like moving your character, and even catching wild Pokemon, you're like dodging attacks and stuff. The gameplay on here is so addicting, so much fun. I love it so much. Go play it. Definitely if you love Legends Arceus, this game is so much fun. Definitely go play it. And I'll see you next time.